Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. Samantha, our producers here. Butler's in the other room. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Mm-hmm. So, I was just going to call up my buddy, the Grizz, and talk to him
We've
about...
been wanting to talk to the Grizz for a minute.
Yeah, and he's in the reserves, and he's got to do one last deployment before he actually retires, I think.
This is his big...
Either that or they're sending him a bunch of times to try to get all the value out of him.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Every bit of juice out of that guy.
I think it's his last deployment.
And what does he do again?
I don't know.
He works at like the way that you describe what he does. He's in the Air Force and he works at a T-Mobile cell phone kiosk inside the Army base.
Yeah. Something. Yeah.
He sells cell phones, right?
It's whatever it is. It's not interesting enough for me or any of our friends.
I keep asking you guys.
It's something
because I'm only friends with Grizz because you introduced me to him, and I keep asking you guys for somebody to tell me what he does.
Whatever it is, it's wasted a lot of our taxpayer money.
Yes.
And I think it's something with radio, and I'm like, radio?
Radio?
Why are they using radio?
That's what you did.
I know. And I have no idea. But then I thought, well, we need a weird job. So what if we talk to...
Work smarter, not harder.
The Grizz about being in the reserves. Because I honestly don't even know that much about it.
Me neither.
And
I have a lot of buddies that are in the reserves.
And all I know is that every, I forgot, it was once a month he's got to do a week where he goes to some base and jogs around.
What, though?
I don't know.
Just jogs?
I think he jogs around.
I have always assumed, and this is where and I know that that's a bad thing to do. I have always assumed that you practice the things that you're going to need to do to defend the country, because that's
the reserves go before the draft, right? Like before you draft.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Me, Butler, Chungus, a bunch of that's your last
like
ditch.
A volunteer fire department.
You guys are too old anyway.
Yo, you don't want me running out there. Oh God.
I know, but that's what they did.
Look, it's Leprechaun in the Hood. He's got a gun.
That's what they did in Vietnam. Right? They started draft. Like you watched the TV and you had to go, and it was Chungus.
Yeah, but there is no draft.
I know. It doesn't seem like
they're like, we need able bodies. Chungus, get out there.
Yeah.
He blows him right in half. I mean, he's literally right on a minefield.
He's got no training and he's scared.
He's like, what do I do? I'm peeing my pants. Just run for the minefield.
They're killing him. Anyway, so I think the reserves are there before we have to send a bunch of Chunguses. I don't know, but I know the Grizz probably doesn't know either.
No.
He's
on the line. You need a Weird Job Wednesday theme song.
Yeah, this is a Weird Job.
All right, so here is your Weird Job Wednesday theme song. Joey got wind of us again playing his piano tunes. He likes to do songs that should never be played on piano for Weird Job, and he's going to continue to do it. It's now his thing because Tom hated it, so here we go.
Because it doesn't have to be good to be funny.
There you go.
Hit it.
Job Wednesday, coming on my radio. Tom and Dan are on, so it must be a weird job show. Butler's probably leaving, he's going to get high. As long as Sam is there, the show will likely still get by. So it's a Weird Job Wednesday, so Tom and Dan show.
No.
It's a Weird Job Wednesday, so Tom and Dan show. 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 It's a Weird Job.
Okay, I ain't gonna do anymore.
Wow.
I started having I started having a fever dream, and then I started to hallucinate.
Yeah.
And the voices were telling me to do things, but hey, keep them coming because I love them.
You're right. That should not be played on piano.
Yeah, but he told me that in his email. He said, yes, I did a Rancid song. Don't care. And I'm like, I love you. I love you, Joey.
It's too much work to be that good.
His fingers are just flying.
You turn a Rancid song into an instrumental.
It's like a weird show tune.
You learned how to play it on piano, and you're singing it live. It's too much work.
And there was like a weird, soft British accent there.
Yeah. And he's like, Tommy, Dan Show. It's kind of fun to say.
I am going to get that stuck in my head now.
We'll
so.
probably, you and I are the singers around here. We'll be singing it all day. Thank you, though, Joey.
It's like you had the best chef in the world cook me a doo-doo pie.
Okay.
You put 10 hours into the doo-doo pie.
He was layering his vocals. It's too much, Joey. You're too nice of a man. All right. On the line with us is your friend and mine, Grizz. We don't know what he does.
What's going on, Grizz?
Hey, what's going on?
So you sound busy. Did we catch you at a bad time?
What time is it in Qatar right now? Or should I even say that? I don't know what
look,
you're
we got
allowed.
Geraldo. Why don't you draw him a map in the sand?
Uh,
Jeez. Why don't you just give him the 4-digit code for the gate?
9:15 at night.
9:15?
Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. So
Are you on like night watch? Are you up in the tower?
so
Or
that
are you just like drinking?
No. I wish it was drink. We can't drink out here right now.
Oh.
he did. Well, maybe I shouldn't ask. Shouldn't
No.
say it, but he's like, send me some booze, and I'm like, you got it. Then I
You
was like,
can't send me booze. You have to send me vodka-soaked tampons.
I'm like, this is gonna get you in the brig or something, right? Or get me in trouble. Like, I don't know. If
I
you
don't
can
even know.
send-
Does he even have
Can
a
I-
brig, or is he like more in an IT department?
Yeah.
And they're like, just
Okay.
go to the break room, you idiot.
So, Zach, let's go back to the beginning here because I decided to turn this into a Weird Job Wednesday where we talk about being in the reserves because I feel like most people don't even know what that means.
We just proved that because we asked the question. I see him up here at there's a facility right on the way to our studio.
Yeah.
And they got all the Army, it looks like caravan vehicles, personnel carriers, a couple of tanks. They got some stuff.
Yeah, I remember I told the Grizz, I was like, because when all the hurricanes and like I think he was in the reserves when Katrina hit, and like I was like, are you going to be deployed out there to be like hurricane relief? He's like, no, I don't do that. I'm like,
What do you do?
What do you do?
I thought that's what you do.
But he's sitting in a Red Cross like hut with air conditioning blowing on him, and he's just like answering the phone.
So let's go back to the reserves. So you did how many years in the Air Force?
I got 18 and a half.
The real Air Force before you went into reserves.
I have about 8.5 years active duty.
Okay.
Okay, wow.
So then,
And thank you for that, Grizz. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
no,
He doesn't even care. He doesn't even care.
He knows. I told him he's wasting
He's
more.
laughing at me,
He's
thanking him.
It's actually hindered our country. I'm sorry, Grizz. You know, we all talk about it.
He was the first one to bring it up.
I was like, what are they doing? Don't send him. We all think like this. With all my Miami friends, we all don't understand how any of us.
Grizz gets the most heat.
Turkey
anybody.
legs, like a really good mechanic. We're like, no way, this guy doesn't. We've seen him in real life, and then
He's not that good.
Porno Joe is a paramedic. I'm like, no, don't send him to save anybody. We all know.
No.
Yeah, but see,
The only thing
he
Porno
did-
Joe would do if I were in a car accident is cut my panties off.
and by the way, the Grizz and all my Miami friends are like, you are somehow in charge of running a business? No,
They mean you.
Yes, no.
Oh, yeah.
They're like,
well, I know
you're
what
an
they say
idiot.
to me. They're like, you're still keeping it in line, right? I'm like, yeah.
Well, they say that Daniel's the funny
Yeah,
one.
he's
What are
holding
you
it together.
doing?
No, they tell me, they're like,
You're
he's-
doing the business part? No.
they're like, we don't know how you work with him. He's so stupid.
So the idea, Grizz, so you didn't, instead of staying in full time, you go reserves. That way you could still, because you did 8 years, and you're like, if you do 20, you get that sweet retirement.
Good for you, man.
But
Yeah.
I don't know and so I imagine it's less in the reserves than is if you were
I'll
full
get-
time.
Yeah. So I'll get retired. I'll retire in a year and a half. But collect when I'm like 55, 57, something like that.
Oh, you'll never live that
Oh,
long.
yeah, that's true.
No, I know. But that's why
Yeah.
I grew up with you. You poisoned yourself.
Hank and Charlie are gonna live nicely.
Well, do they get it?
I mean, that's why your hair is bright white.
They get it.
The Grizz, when I used to live with the Grizz in
I
college.
hope they get it.
And I also love your son's names. You named him after like the two most reliable drinking buddies any man could ever have.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean? Like when you
Well, there's
say
a
their
reason.
names, I get proud and I'm like want to take my hat off and just like hug.
Two old men
I'm
names.
gonna just go hang out with them.
Yeah.
Go hang out with Hank.
Yeah. So
Hang out with Charlie.
Yeah, Hank and Charlie. You did
Yeah.
name your kids
After
old
drinking
men
buddies.
names. Yeah.
I like beer. Sticky likes beer. Charlie likes beer. Hank brews his own beer, God damn it.
So, but anyway, when I used to live with the Grizz in college, every morning he would cough blood into the sink. And we'd hear him hacking and wake the whole house up. We're like, oh God, he's coughing every morning. No
good.
way he'll live into retirement. And anyway,
It took like 10 years after I quit smoking to quit hacking up like that.
Ooh.
Grizz,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
not good, man.
yeah. That's definitely
No,
to
it's
knock
not.
us out for the old retirement
I
fund.
mean,
Yeah,
I don't think any smoker. I was a smoker. I never had that.
So, okay, let's talk about
Every
reserves.
morning.
Grizz, okay, so you...
Maybe you can walk us through a weekend jaunt.
okay,
you know?
Yeah, what's your day to day?
Well, because I know you're in the Middle East, but before you had to go to 1 weekend a month. How did that work?
Yeah, so like 1 weekend a month and like 2 weeks out of the year. So they pick like a 2-week span, like in the middle of the year sometime for you to do like a long training session.
So the
But
What's
like
the
a
training?
weekend. So I'll show up like 6 a.m. on Saturday, and usually you hang out and talk with people.
Hang
see
out
how
and
the month was. So lunchtime, and everyone wants to go to lunch, and you guys go to a nice hour.
Wait, so
hour
you
and a
show
half
up at
lunch.
6 a.m. and you BS until lunch, and then you go to Applebee's?
That's this job.
Yeah, that's exactly
that's
what
every
we
job,
do.
but that's the reality.
You do a podcast?
So the weekend, did you have to put some boots on and run or something?
Yeah, that's what
Anything?
I want to hear. Like a
Were
pack
you
on.
shooting?
I gotta wear a uniform, and then we'll after lunch we'll do a few little things here or there, and then like
What does that
4
mean?
we'll go.
What are a few little
Yeah,
things?
We'll do some training or
What
something like
training?
that.
Training of what? Nobody know. You do nothing, do you?
Of course not.
It's starting to sound like you're trying to justify what you do. And Samantha
Oh,
keeps
yeah.
grilling you like
There's no
we
details.
got
It's all
no, no.
we
generic.
got Katie Couric over here. She's giving you the hard questions.
I quit trying to justify what I did like 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, come on.
Now I just show up.
So okay,
Oh,
this
Grizz.
Lynn,
It sounds like it's just a hangout weekend,
this,
right?
It's not bad. Then you get to go drinking with a bunch of guys you haven't seen and gals you haven't seen in a month, and
Why aren't
They're
everybody,
your
why isn't
buddies.
everybody in the reserves?
Yeah, but it
Sounds
is good.
great.
Now,
Because,
to his credit, it is good to rekindle those relationships and make sure you still have camaraderie.
Yeah.
this moment right now
Yeah.
of him talking to us from the Middle East, because
Ooh,
that-
how much does this
Yeah,
cost?
yeah.
So-
Are you on a government line? Oh man, we're wasting money, aren't we?
So, okay, rewind about a year ago. I think it was I saw the Grizz. He came to stay with us right before COVID, and
Well, he was patient zero. Right? Like, I mean,
in fact, we
I
all
thought it originated with the Grizz family.
that was Tommy got sick after that,
Yes.
and everybody got sick.
Yeah,
and we
no,
were,
that's when your son had a
yeah.
3-month fever,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we
I
were
remember
convinced that Grizz brought us COVID. We didn't know if Tommy and Max had it or all. Anyway, still don't know. But I think we debunked that because the Grizz's wife is a nurse and she's got antibody tests, and so apparently never had it. But so before that, Grizz was telling us he's like, man, I gotta be deployed. And when did you get deployed? September.
yeah.
And when he was
Beginning of September.
And at that time, I mean, all my Miami friends are now either in their 40s or damn near close to
Families and kids.
Everybody's got
Yeah.
kids now, and we're all basically settling into old men. And when we all heard that, we're like, "You gotta go, deployed!" And we're like, "Oh man! Like, how many months?" You're like, "How many months are you there?"
8.
8 months. We're like,
Wow.
8. You got a newborn,
That sucks.
and I'm like, whoa. And then it hit us. We're like, wow, that's rough
Yeah,
to have
that
to
is
be
really
deployed.
rough.
I don't want you to say anything that you're not allowed to say here, but is it necessary for you to be deployed for 8 months right now?
That's
Are
what I'm-
you doing something?
Being away
That's
from your
what I want-
family.
Are you doing
Can you
something?
imagine being away from your family?
No.
Oh my god.
Because
man.
here's and obviously,
I think it's not necessary for 30% of the people out here to be deployed.
Well,
Yeah.
what is going on? This is a waste
Well,
of
it's a
government
lot.
money.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you gotta look. We were invested in it.
A
You
lot
gotta do
of
some stuff.
infrastructure and stuff, and this is my kind of a point too. Also, I want to talk about the how you had to go quarantine in a base for 2 weeks before you
sucks,
left,
too.
and I want to talk about
We were in quarantine for like 5 weeks.
5 weeks. So here's the thing. So I'll paint the picture of what the Grizz looks like. The Grizz is a year older than me, but he's got, I think from genetics and bad living, his hair exploded white.
Yeah,
It's a whole
bright white like a Phil Donahue.
yeah, he's got a complete white old man
He
hair.
looks like Tim Allen, the Santa Claus.
Yeah, and I remember that one time. I mean,
He's a handsome man though, but just bright white Donahue hair.
Grizz, when'd your hair start turning white? It was in your 20s, right, or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, it was like right at the end of high school, 20s.
Did you ever
Wait,
think
you were still in
about?
high school in your
Orlando.
20s?
Yeah, did you ever
Malta,
think about
Miami,
dyeing it? Did you
my
ever think
friends.
about like dyeing it black or something?
No.
Well,
What's-
That looks good,
Now,
though.
But it went
What's
from
worse?
blonde to white.
Which is okay.
It's
I
an
feel
easier
like
you can
transition.
pull off the white hair.
which would you rather have? Would
Thank
you
you.
rather be good-looking guy whose hair goes bright white when you're 19, or would you rather be okay-looking guy whose hair falls out at 18, where you have that
Ooh, no.
scraggly?
No, white. You go white.
White.
Yeah, I'd rather have the white hair too.
Than the Costanza,
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is
Looks like an old
because
bird's nest.
am I right or wrong to believe that you're probably around a bunch of young guys in their 18 and 20s?
Yeah, you're
and
an old man.
Like, to them, are you the old man, the grizzled old man that is around
You're
a
like
bunch of
Rambo to them.
yeah.
19-year-old
Well,
kids?
so that's the weird thing in the reserves and the guard. There's a lot of people that stay in the reserves and guard till they're like 50 and 60. Like there's old ass people out here, like 55 plus, like almost 60, and they stay in the guard because it's a whatever reason, I don't know. But yeah, so I'm one of the older guys, but I'm like upper middle.
Okay. So now that brings me to what are the benefits? Because I'm looking at it now, Grizz, and I got to tell you, 8 months away from my family over in the Middle East.
That's pretty bad.
It seems like if someone's like,
That's
well,
definitely a sacrifice
hey,
for sure.
I'm going to give you some discounted health care for the rest of your life, but you got to spend 8 months away from your family. I'd be like, no, thank you. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I understand.
I mean, you got to offer me a big price for
Sure.
this inconvenience.
You want to make it worth their while, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and it's one
It's
thing
not
if you're actually literally, boots on the ground, kicking in some doors, killing some terrorists because you're like actually saving America or keeping our freedom. But when you're over there in Qatar doing God knows what, some paperwork.
Like, what have you done today, Grizz?
Yeah,
Like, what did you-
was your day today?
Today.
Mm-hmm.
So today I went to the gym this morning,
All right.
and then
Do that here.
went into work.
What's work?
This is
Stuff
what
at
like
work.
a yoga teacher does, right? Like she gets up, she works out, then she goes into her studio. Her hubby's propping it up.
Now I realize it's limited on what you could say, because I did say
So
I was like, I don't want to get you like if I have to explain to your wife like, yep, he's in military prison now because of our dumbass show.
Well, what? Because he said he went to the gym?
No,
Right.
I don't know. He starts saying
Is
like
that the secret?
because the Grizz will start telling us about some radio equipment that's
He
top
did that
secret.
one time. Remember, he did that one time. He started telling a story, and he's like, I don't know if I can say this. And I'm like, you're on their line. What are you doing?
He's on his personal cell phone. That's the thing. I was like, do I
he's
call
just-
your number?
What, he's just got his iPhone in his pocket, and
Yes!
he's guitar, and he's just bubble, bejeweled crazy?
Yeah. They have towers up there that it's the same as calling the United States, right? In the base.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Qatar's like a well, it's getting there, but like a first world-ish country. They got cell phone towers, and they got they got everything. They got
Well,
LTE,
and they got gyms, apparently.
Is
Right.
there anything that
Yeah.
you're doing a robot can't do, or some? Do they have to?
Robots
actually,
don't need to go to the gym, which is pretty awesome.
Do they have to actually
Yeah,
bring
so
you?
that would be one.
But do they have to actually fly you out there and put you up? I imagine you're staying. They're feeding you every day.
So my data. So I'm in charge of the communications section. So when he's in,
He's in charge? Oh my God! I thought he was just there.
Wait a minute.
He's in charge. No wonder you get to go to the gym.
Hold on, is there someone underneath? Like, do
Yeah,
people
all the
salute you?
robots are underneath him. He's in charge of the robots.
Does someone have to salute you? What's your? Do you have a rank of some sort?
yeah, I'm a master sergeant.
A
Master Sergeant. That sounds awesome.
That sounds too high.
Yeah, come on.
Hold on. What? Did you get through?
You're not a Master Chef Junior, let alone a You are nothing.
Did you get through Sergeant, then go to Master Sergeant, or does it skip all the way to Master Sergeant? How does that work?
No, you go up in rank.
All right. So,
What do you mean?
Are you in a bubble bath right now?
I like that
I hear a bubble bath.
I like that the guy that's in charge of communication says, "What do you mean?" He doesn't even know what you're asking.
yeah, like
It's their love language.
So
Sam.
you're like,
I love you, Grizz. I miss the hell out of you, man.
are you working in
I
like?
think the Grizz has just been grifting under the radar.
Leave
You know
him
what I
alone.
mean?
He's almost out.
Are you working in a cubicle? Are you out? Do you have
Yeah,
to step
so-
in sand? Is there sand?
That's good.
Do you hold a gun at all? Is there a gun anywhere near you now?
So like we went last time in 2016, and that time we traveled around a lot, and we went to a bunch of different places, and that was and we set up communications for the places we were going, and we went to quite a few different countries and job sites, but this time because of Corona, we can't really. A lot of the countries are locking everything down and making you quarantine if you go there, you leave there. So we haven't gone anywhere yet. So we're just sticking around here.
You're just not doing anything.
No, wait. So you
Why
went to the-
why
I
deploy
wanna-
you
I-
during
do
a
you put on
pandemic if you
boots?
can't go
I just
anywhere?
want to finish this. So you got your gym time, man.
Uh-huh.
What was after the
Lunch.
gym?
So we just maintain all the communications for the people that are here.
Wait a minute. Is that just me walking
There's
by
like
my
a
computer and go, "Yep, still
You
on."
good? You good?
Like,
You good?
Is that when you looking at the tower and you're like, all right,
Still on. Red light's beacon.
the light's on.
It's like me
Good.
picking up my cell phone and then it going facial recognition worked, and I'm like, all right, it's still there. It's
Open
good.
line of communication.
Confirmed.
Yeah, are you soldering something? Is there sand? Is there
It's
giant?
a physical work.
Tom wants you to have a gun out at the ready. He wants you to be
Yeah.
soldering something. Then the bad guys break down the door. Then you have to pick up your gun and fend them off while you're soldering.
Are you? Yeah. Is there any? I mean, do you load your weapon? Do you have a
Any
loaded weapon?
Any close calls at all?
Not here in Qatar, no.
Okay.
No, not this time.
So is your I imagine computers are doing most of this. Like when you say you maintain.
Well, he's looking at the computer. Somebody's got to put the plug in the wall, Tom.
Why couldn't you just do this from here? Like we have global
That's
communication.
what my wife says to me.
I mean, I have people from different countries trying to scam me at all hours of the day, and it doesn't stop them from working.
Right.
They don't have to be in Orlando.
Yeah, they work remotely.
Yeah, is there any specific? Is there any?
We still don't know what he does.
Like, do you have to go? You remember in Jurassic Park? Okay, let's talk about this. Remember in Jurassic Park when the system shut down, and then they said, "Hey, there's the one master override switch. It's in this little bunker, and we have to get there." And then
They always put it in the most inconvenient
Right.
place.
yeah, and then you have to go across the jungle, and then
So our switch is in Qatar.
Yeah.
I got you.
They're in the jungle.
is there any
Yeah.
switch?
He's got it. That's right.
Wait a minute. So you're in charge of
We
protecting the
maintain the
jungle
switch.
switch?
No.
We sit by that switch and pump it whenever we need to.
So you right
He's
now you
clowning
are
me.
sitting next to a jungle switch, and you're pumped up from
Yeah.
the gym, ready to pull it if need be.
If need be.
right.
So
He convinced me.
okay, let's go back to the benefit of being in the reserves. What do you get when it's all said and done? You said there's some
You get
sort
a
of
pizza party.
retirement when you're at retirement age. That's when, but you get health benefits forever. Like, let's go through the actual benefit
Fair enough.
of being in the reserves.
he doesn't know.
I mean, what?
I mean,
it's got to be big,
I
right?
have a feeling this is a case of doesn't know what he does, doesn't know what he gets for not knowing
No,
what he does.
he knows. He's now it is clown now.
I also feel like you don't know what he does, but he also has no idea what you do or
That's
what you're
true.
doing right now.
Yeah, he knows it's something. He's like it's on something.
Do you know his real name?
But seriously, you get what do you get?
Well, I mean, we'll get like a pension when you hit 55 or 60, and then the health benefits. Like the health benefits right now during the month for my family, it's like $200.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
And that's
take
full.
that, Tom.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, what do you got?
Yeah, well,
You got to go to the doctor every week to get your amphetamine salt.
Full cost, no discount.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's
And,
all right.
and it's really good. Like when we had our kids, I think we paid in total. We paid like $300 for 2 kids.
Whoa,
That's a good price for 2 kids.
Yeah.
And we had to spend. Yeah. So I mean, like, and what else?
So the pension, what is that? What dollar amount do you get once you turn 55 a month? Is it good enough to be in the situation you are now, away from your family, do the duties?
Kind of bored, yeah.
Obviously, they can call you up at any time. Obviously, okay, if you're in the reserves, is the deal that you could be called up at any time, right?
Yeah.
So that's
So we get called up we didn't get called up for Katrina, but I wasn't near there. But we got called up for the hurricanes that hit over on the East Coast in North Carolina, and a handful of the guys went down to.
See, that's why I think it's a
Florida
big deal
and stuff
because
like
you're
that.
always on.
Did you get to shoot any looters or anything?
Oh my God.
Well, that's where we have guns. Or did you have to?
I do feel like if you go out and you've been put in the field with a gun, I'm not saying you used it. If you get put in the field and then they go through and they're like, did you use your gun? No, we didn't have to use our guns. All right, well, we have some old horses out here, and we're going to let you just kind of rip through them with your machine guns just to get it out so we don't have any problems.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, go back there. I tied 5 horses to these stumps.
They're old, though.
Yeah, you could just go out there.
Machine gun them out.
Yeah, just blow their legs off.
So, as far as
I don't believe in that, by the way.
the pension, back to the pension. How much? $500 a month? $1,000 a month? What are we talking here?
You missed a good tell me.
I haven't done them. It's probably going to be like $2,500
a month,
something like that.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Now,
that's not bad.
Now,
And you're gonna
hold on.
And you're gonna.
That's probably not true.
And you're gonna be working.
That's true.
And you can work once you're
That's
out.
complete lie.
You can get a fun job, right? Like you can work at like a Sam Ash in the drum department and still get your military pension, right? And you can be like cool. You can work in the guitar section of something.
I feel like if you're actually full time for 20 years, you get. But in the reserve, if you do like a little bit and then the reserves, then I give you 2,500.
If I
Spreading
was
it out
full time, I'd make more than that if I was full time.
Yeah.
If I'd stayed.
So
what's your job going to be after this?
So I mean, this unit that I'm at, like we do construction. So a lot of the time that I don't really know much about the communication side. I've just been doing it for a while, so they put me in charge of it.
What?
Oh my God. See, all you have to do is listen to what he says, and you'll
Hold
get
on.
the full picture.
We're just working construction out there. What does that
I don't
mean?
even know what's happening. I've never been more confused about what you do, Chris.
I don't know much about communication, so they put me in charge of it?
No, he also said he does construction, which, you do construction communication?
All right.
Like,
That's a walkie-talkie.
hey, bring me some 2x4s. We're building a barracks. Like what?
So the unit the unit that I'm with, the whole group of people that I'm with, we build buildings and pour runways and stuff like that.
All right.
So
That's
you're in
what our mission is.
construction.
That's what the whole unit is. And my portion of that is the communication side. So like when we go different sites, I'll set up the communication for for people to be able to get on the internet or talk back or get on radios or stuff like that.
Are you?
But
Is this equivalent to the guy that deters traffic and they put put Johnson on traffic duty?
Oh, the sign. The stop
just
sign.
flip the sign where it's caution,
Slow
slow,
and
or stop. I think that's. I mean,
Is
it's
that
in
what
the Venn diagram.
Is that what we've determined?
So now you're in guitar. Do you
but
get?
because
I want to find out about your weekends, Grizz. Like,
Weekends in Qatar is one of my favorite children's books.
so, is it when you're in this situation? Is it similar to a 9 to 5 where you have your work hours, then your off time, and during your off time, what can you do? Can you go off the base? Can you roam around Qatar? No.
Oh, that sucks.
Nah, not now because of the COVID.
Right,
we
right.
can't leave base, and they kind of shut everything down as far as being able to hang out in different spots, and so you used to be able to kind of go. There's some areas to go play pool or ping pong or go to the gym, stuff like that. But
Don't
now
you
they
guys
kinda
have
shut
like
lot of
a
that down.
food court with an Outback to go or?
No. We got I think what do they got here? They got an Arby's.
Yeah, they got the meats.
They got a Burger King.
God, it
Pizza
smells like a
Hut.
Qatar Arby's in here.
What kind of meats do you got?
What do you
not the
kids?
same. All of 'em.
What do you kids can't be the same?
Yeah. That's it. Was
What is this?
so.
That's a lot bigger sandwich
Wait,
than I
so
remember.
you got Arby's, Burger King, Pizza Hut.
So are you just stuck in the base? What are you doing for fun? Are you you got TV to watch and the internet, and then then you hang out with a bunch of other military dudes?
Yeah,
and,
that's not bad.
Yeah, you play cards and ping pong and basketball
And
and
get Arby's
cornhole.
diarrhea. It's just like here. It's the same thing. It's like, oh, what's wrong with Bill? Oh, he ate the big Qatar. It's the double-decker roast beef sandwich.
Hold on. Now I'm kind of getting flipped here because that was like
back in?
8-month vacation.
No, he just
Yeah,
goes
wait
and
for
eats
your
fast
family.
food and plays ping pong with his bros.
Yeah, for a while I was like, oh my God, how miserable! You got to go to the Middle East and do 8 months away
Dude,
from.
he's got his personal cell phone. He can play video games. He can watch TV. He's eating Arby's.
You're just hanging out and playing ping pong.
Yeah.
And then you don't have to. I
He's
mean,
like, you know what? I think I want a big Montana. And he walks over and he gets a big Montana.
Chris, my wife talked to you.
Do they have curly fries in Qatar?
My wife talked to your wife the other day, and she is struggling with a newborn and
Oh,
a
no.
toddler.
Yeah.
She,
Terrible.
I mean, she's
Yeah.
trying. She is barely getting by with the.
She's drowning, man.
In the COVID, she's a nurse
Yeah.
in
Oh,
a
no.
COVID unit
With a newborn.
with a newborn and a
Yeah.
toddler by herself.
And you're the director of communication in a construction company next to an Arby's in Qatar.
I contend you do more for a country helping her
Yeah.
than what you're doing now
Yeah.
in Arby's.
Wait, did we determine he works at Arby's
Yeah,
now?
we determined that
I
Grizz
think he
works
does.
he works at the Air Force's Qatar Arby's. It's Qatarby's.
Yes. I want a Qatarby's shirt.
Do you work at Qatarby's, sir? Welcome to Qatarby's, the home of Hospitaliano.
I think you'd be doing more for America by helping your nurse wife who's dealing with a COVID unit
Yeah, man.
than ping pong and
Can you
Arby's and
imagine
guitar.
nurse, single mom,
100%.
working in COVID unit
Yeah.
with newborn? Oh my God.
You think
Yep.
you
Yeah.
could tell your commanding officers are like, hey, come on, what am I really doing here? I could do this from home.
And you're like, oh,
I
I
tried
think I'll
working
go
that-
get a Jamocha shake.
I tried working that. I was like, look, I can't deploy this time. My wife's a nurse on the COVID unit. I can't. I'll be, come on. I tried working that.
Come on.
Wow, that, you really now,
Good at communications.
Now, if that's exactly how you said it, you gave him the hard sell, man. I'm surprised you went that crazy
Yeah.
aggro on him.
Yeah.
That's almost like taking your job into your own hands, going that sideways on
He's
him.
part of the debate team in Killian High School. I was a master.
Hey, General, I mean, come on.
Come on, man.
They did not care.
I can't go because of the thing, and all right, I guess I'll go. What if the Arby's still has potato cakes?
So, let's talk about the 2 weeks or the 5 weeks you were in a base doing your, quarantine
Training.
Your training.
Oh, well, yeah.
What did you have to do there? And what kind of training did you do? Did you jump on the log, under log, over log?
Oh, it's
did
hard.
you crawl under the barbed wire? Like anything?
They did. It's like 5 weeks of learning how to, we learned, refamiliarize how to shoot, how to drive the big Humvees and MRAPs, and
That's cool.
how to set up base defense, and just all this stuff because we don't do it on a day-to-day basis. So they just kind of train you. It's like 5 weeks, full
It's a
immersion course
refresher.
on how to be back in
It's like the
I hear-
Harley Davidson weekend course. It's like, hey, we need to sell this blanket motorcycle because it's $28,000. So we're going to put you out here. You get a Saturday to Sunday and you're basically Kid Rock. You can head out to, Daytona Bike Week.
Here's your gun. Don't shoot your feet. You know, this is where the trigger is.
Defense. You know what that means, right? They're shooting at you, shoot back at them.
Like-
That's how it works.
Zach, if we played airsoft, like if we got did that, those nerds, they do like tactical airsoft where they get like
recreating the great battle.
and they're all and they have fully functioning airsoft weapons, but they're exact size and shape as a regular M16, and they get out in the woods and they practice tactics and stuff. If we did that, Grizz, would you be any better than me just by knowing what I've seen in Under Siege
Tom's popping out of a cake with his shirt off. I'm like, what are you doing?
Like, I know how to hold the gun, and do what I did. I mean, how much better are you going to be at tactics than me?
A lot.
No, I don't believe you. There's no way. I don't think so.
It was a pretty convincing a lot.
So when you were at that base and doing your 5 weeks there, was it sleep in a giant bunk bed scenario where you have your stuff and then
50 of us?
And everybody's like, "Good night, Chris." And you're the boss, right? You're in charge. You're like, "All right, lights out, you maggots."
The funny thing is, a lot of guys that we're going with another unit from Florida, and a lot of them are they live in Orlando area. They're cops and shit like that. Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. That's only one.
And,
you said you were going to do it 12
I thought it was
times.
going to be 5.
There's a handful more of them on this deployment that know your guys' show and that are handful of them that are BDMs and stuff like that.
All right.
Ah, cool. Grizz also showed me a sticker that he put on some sort of. Where is that? Somewhere.
Oh yeah, my buddy. He's in. They went to when they went back to Afghanistan. One of the refrigerators that I had while I was there last time, one of the little mini fridges, I put a Tommy Dan sticker and he shot it to me. It's still out there.
Why their mini fridges will last way longer than anything we've ever bought. Our mini fridge, 4 years dead.
What's going on?
I would get that military mini fridge.
Yeah.
So now, how many more months?
I
do
feel
you
like if
have?
I were a cartoon character, because of my body style, my name would be Military Mini Fridge.
What are you gonna do for Thanksgiving, Grizz? Because that's coming up in 2 weeks. Do you all get together and have like a family style Thanksgiving?
Spaghetti dinner.
What are you gonna do?
Arby's, right?
Yeah, Arby's.
Yeah. No. We got some. We were able to order some turkeys and some ham. We're gonna cook them up. We got some barbecues and stuff like that. I'll cook up a couple turkeys.
Nah.
We're gonna grill a couple turkeys.
Yeah.
What?
That's
What
that's all we
room?
got to cook them up over here.
What room are you staying in? Are you staying in a bunk bed style?
I hope he's like in a
Is it
Best
like a
Western.
mash tent?
Yeah,
Like the Best Western Qatar downtown.
yeah. Like, what's your living arrangements?
So I guess my room, it's pretty small. It's got a bunk bed in it. I don't have a roommate right now.
That's nice.
And then I share a bathroom with 4 other people.
One of them's name
man.
is Big Mama. I don't know.
I thought you were gonna say like 40 or something. It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's not that.
I do that now, and my sons leave dukes everywhere,
Oh.
and they refuse to flush the toilet. Every time I look in the toilet, there's a duke in there. I'm like, God damn it, flush the GD toilet.
You don't yell that.
And they refuse to
No.
do it. So
I yell that.
Hold on, I may have it worse than the Grizz right now because everything he's telling me is not that bad. Like,
sound that bad.
Like you don't even have to put the kids to bed at night or wake up with a newborn. You don't gotta be in a COVID unit every day for work. Like, my God, we should be talking to your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do her next week.
She's the hero.
Yeah.
He's having a way worse time than I am. Way worse.
Oh, I bet.
Do you make it sound worse?
Can I, my situation sound worse?
Yeah, because like if
Yeah, like when you're talking to her, do you sell it?
yeah, because you don't want to be like, hey, we got an Arby's, I'm cooking a turkey next
Yeah,
week.
this doesn't sound that bad.
I played some ping pong. I worked out. I'm ripped, and then more ripped.
Yeah.
Than
I
I've
tried
ever
that
been.
Impossible Burger. Our Burger King's got it. It's not bad.
Yeah. I got no.
No.
Going to
he
play
knows.
ping pong. Talk later.
I got to share a bathroom with 4 guys, but that's fine. They're
Yeah.
pretty clean.
I take showers as long as I want.
She knows. She knows what's going on. I couldn't. I couldn't be. She would see right through it.
Oh yeah. Grizz is like me. I
Yeah,
can't lie.
Grizz is also really fun to be
Yeah.
around, so he's kind of like the perfect guy for this because he just doesn't care. He's kind of riding it out, doing his thing.
Well, in my
I just
mind,
bought a hookah.
I wanted you to
You
be.
just bought
Smoking hookah?
in
Yeah.
in Jarheads where they're.
This guy's just chilling out on vacation.
I wanted you to be pouring diesel in some doo-doo trough and burning it because you have to burn your feces, and then like once a year you get loaded and shoot a machine gun into the night. But I want you to be sleeping in a tent, like I see in the movies. Or
Yeah,
like,
he wants it to be a lot more dramatic.
yeah. It just.
Last time was a lot more dramatic. 16, it was a lot more dramatic.
Then you leave.
Now
Like,
it's not.
you leave like $250,000 for radio equipment in a base
in the
by
sand.
accident.
That was a few years ago. That was 16. That was more. That was when I was active duty.
All
That was
All
That-
right.
well, I haven't left that much. I haven't lost that much stuff in a long time.
I don't
Not
think
that
that's
much.
true.
Not that much.
I think there's something left every
Oh, he's
day.
gotten close, but
Yeah,
not
yeah,
quite
yeah.
as bad. Well, we're glad you're okay, man.
Yeah.
It's really good to talk to you, and we obviously wish you the best, and we want you to stay safe out there.
Yeah, it's good talking to you guys. Thank you.
Stay safe. He's perfectly safer than normal.
Yeah, he's safer than we
He's
are,
safer
yeah.
than his wife in the COVID unit every day. He's playing ping pong.
The worst is like the second day I left, like day 2 of me being gone, she had to quarantine with the 2 kids for 2 weeks because someone at school had it. I was like, oh my god.
Oh man.
Well, back to ping pong.
It was horrible.
All right, Zach. I'll talk to you. I'll text you later, dude.
All right, man.
All right, man.
All right,
See ya. Take care. Oh, man, I love that guy. He's so funny.
And so that's the first time I talked to him on the phone since he's been over there. I've been texting him and stuff.
Quality of the call's pretty damn good, I got to say.
Just a cell phone,
I know. That's crazy.
Apparently, every base that's been there a long time has set up
Yeah,
towers.
he's-
So it's the same. You can call people's cell phone as you can call them here. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter, which is cool. I imagine.
Very cool for families and stuff like that. Can you imagine when you couldn't do any of that? Can you imagine when?
Right.
Well,
when
it used
you
to be a
were
letter.
Well, yeah. Well, you're lucky if it got to you, right?
Yeah. And then the letter you got, if you were on like the family side, you're reading it, you're like, well, he sent this weeks ago.
Yeah,
who
yeah,
knows
who
what?
knows?
Yeah. See,
Really sad when you think about that.
being able to FaceTime your loved ones
It's
has
game
got,
changer.
Yeah, that's probably increased the, I guess, being able to do that kind of thing by a lot more,
For a
right?
lot of people, yeah, long distance relationships have been changed because of stuff like that. I mean, look at it now with Zoom calls and stuff like that. Even now, even though we are close, I mean, we still can't have people come into our studio and
But
stuff like that.
you remember when Maisie was growing up, and the age between like the 6 months and like 8 months after that, like they were completely different babies.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
it's like they changed by the month and stuff. So that's for me.
Missing all that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you come back and you're like, oh, you're a different human than you were.
Well, 8 months is that's a year. You know, so. But anyway, love you, Grizz. We got to go.
Yep. Bye bye. Welcome back to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan.
So we've talked a lot about our fish tank that we have in here, courtesy of Top Shelf Aquatics.
I think we've actually done okay. Not a lot of casualties.
Yeah. I think when all said
We're
and done,
hard on ourselves.
How
you
long
know?
have we had the fish tank?
I think we've had about 8 years now, 8 or 9.
Oh, we got it at the right at the beginning of COVID.
We did. It was
a-
like our fun COVID project.
yeah. So
And then we realized that everybody else had the same idea, and everybody when COVID first started, everybody's like, you know what? I need a fish tank.
Yeah. And
Go hand in hand with a viral explosion.
so it's been about 7 months, and Steven, who is in the studio with us right now, he is the owner of Top Shelf Aquatics, or one of the owners. And
What's up, guys?
we talked to you when you set up the fish tank the first time, and you told us about some YouTube stuff that you have been doing with a particular YouTuber, and we started looking at his videos, got a ton of hits, and we were fascinated by it because a lot of people don't realize there's I feel like in every demographic and every subject, there's some sort of professional YouTuber at this point doing content for
the
that
specific lane. Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever you're into, say if you're into shoes, there's for sure YouTubers that just specializes in shoes.
But one of the most strange ones that I've seen is there's an old man that all he does is fix remotes.
Yeah.
Like remote controls. And I have used him twice. Once for my Bose soundbar remote and once for an older remote for my television.
Yeah.
And that guy is awesome because he knows he's the remote guy. He knows how to take them apart, refurbish them, make them work, replace the swollen battery. So it's very weird, but man, is he useful.
Oh, there's carpenters
and millions of hits on his videos.
Yeah. I just feel like there's an opportunity for everybody in every genre and and then even in if you want to put ocean, I mean, there's so many boat YouTubers and scuba diver YouTubers. And then you got to start leaning into fish and coral. And then there's YouTubers that do specializes in tanks.
If only we could find one of those.
Yes. And George is here with us today in studio from CoralFish12g. That's the name of your YouTube, right? Sorry.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. World's worst name, but I created it when I was like 12 years old.
Well, George, thank you so much for coming in. And I wanted to talk to you about that because we constantly laugh all the time about radio interns' names.
Well, it's usually on like if we got a resume across our desk and we're looking at an intern we were going to bring in, and then where it says contact me, the guy's name is like Pokemon 69. It's something very very childlike, and I'd just be like, oh God, I hate that, because it seems so unprofessional.
But then also whatever name they give you in whatever intern position, booger, boner, there's a million different ones.
It sticks and you ride it until the grave.
If you end up being a professional in radio, you usually stick with that name. So then you're a 45-year-old man named Boner, and that's in radio though. But it's similar a little bit to YouTube, where this is a YouTube channel you started when you were 12, you said?
Yeah, I was about 10 years old when I started in the aquarium hobby. And then I was, I think, 12 when I started the actual YouTube channel, so about 2 years after.
So what year is this?
Dude, this was back in 2010. So this is about, I think, 4 years after Google had bought YouTube for $1 billion, which is probably Google's best investment because it's worth trillions.
Yeah. And at the time in 2010, there was a lot of content out there, but there's still, I mean, compared to now, it's just minuscule, right?
Yeah. So when I started, it was definitely something that, you just throw up on the YouTube to see how it would do, whether people were interested. What I was doing was I was throwing my videos up of my fish tanks to see, hey, what did people think of these? Do you guys think my fish tanks are as interesting as I think they are? And then I started getting these comments from people saying, dude, this is amazing. Your tank looks sweet. How do you do this? How do you do this? How do you keep all your elements in check? And that's when I decided, hey, I want to start teaching people how to not make all the mistakes I made when I first started. So I started my educational videos, and then that's where it really took off, where I started getting a lot of good feedback from people, and people were learning, and I was also at the time I didn't know it, but getting a lot of really cool, developing a lot of teaching skills and sort of developing how to become a YouTuber. So
and for a 10-year-old, I'm sure a 10, 11, or you're a young kid, for you to be teaching what I assume, if you have a saltwater aquarium, I just feel that's an older person's game, right? It costs some money, right?
100%.
Okay,
100%.
It definitely doesn't seem like something that a little kid would be monkeying around with.
What's your main demographic, would you say, Steven? And I mean, obviously you own a saltwater aquarium store, that coral dealer. What do you say the age is?
I would say the 30 to 50 male working class. I mean, working to upper. But I think that's where George did really well, is because all these kids wanted to have Nemo at home, and they tuned into him, and that's where they kind of.
You guys were talking about remotes earlier, right? The guy who's making remote. with YouTube, I definitely feel like the riches are in the niches. And and
write that down, Sam.
I have that tattooed on my belly like Tupac.
I want it above my genitals, like right in my pube line.
Yeah, saltwater aquariums is definitely not something you'd expect a 10-year-old to be doing, especially 10 to 15 years ago, because the hobby keeps changing, it keeps evolving, and I think it is now, just now, because the technology is making it easier. And because of YouTubers, I think like me, what I'm trying to do is inspire the younger generation to get their hands on some aquariums, because I think they're really amazing teaching tools for a lot of different things in life. Money management. It's obviously a big responsibility to keep these kinds of animals, coral, fish, different invertebrates. So, but again, I have to thank my parents. They are the best parents in the world. And I originally, like any other kid, wanted a fish tank, like a fish bowl. Most parents would take their kids to Petco and say, hey, set up a goldfish tank.
Sure.
My parents were like, if you're going to do this, you're going to go all out and get the coolest thing that exists, which it was a saltwater tank. So my mom took me to a store in Chicago, very similar to like Stevens here in Orlando. And yeah, it was everything saltwater. And I absolutely fell in love with the coral. Just all the colors, the economic aspect of being able to grow it, being able to cut it up, sell pieces to other hobbyists. It just became, there's so many intricacies to the hobby that I fell in love with.
Well, you brought up a good point, George, with especially being as young as you were when you started, being able to maintain a saltwater tank. Like, listen, we got 4 grown adults in our studio here every day, and every time we go check it, we're like, the water, no more water.
I'm like, where are they?
The water. And then
I thought something was in here.
And then I'm like, who ran out of fish tank water? And then Daniel's like, there's a whole jug. I'm like, no, that's not the fish tank water.
I didn't know if you were going to tell that. I didn't know if you really
I'm like,
wanted
that's
to tell
something
that.
different, I think. I think they told.
So we had 2 jugs of water there.
We have someone from Top Shelf that comes every week.
Yeah, and he was like, I don't think that we could use that water. And I go, well, why would they bring it then? He's like, that's a special water. I'm like, special water for what?
I'm like, it's making a noise. And we call Sean. He's like, no, he's like, turn the button. He's like, what button? I'm sending.
I'm like, there's water in here. My God, it's flooded.
It's more complicated than your normal fish bowl.
It gives me anxiety, and I suffer from anxiety, so it's a great thing for me to. I'm just look at. I was scared all the time.
So I imagine it's rare for someone at that time at your age to even know how to maintain a saltwater tank because of how complicated it is.
Definitely, and there wasn't a lot of info out there. I mean, there were some forums, but again, YouTube was just so new, and there were a few YouTubers, but they weren't presenting the info in the way that I thought it should be presented. Basically what I did was I started taking some of these really complex topics like coral growth and water chemistry, and I tried breaking them down into more digestible 5 to 10 minute videos so that younger kids or people just who are interested in it and just getting started could figure out how to do it.
What did your parents think at the time, and how many viewers were you starting to get?
Well, we know Mom was pretty cool because
Mom was cool, but Mom was also really strict, and she didn't let me do YouTube originally when I wanted to do it. And the reason my name is CoralFish12g is because she definitely didn't want me to use my real name, because she was worried. Back then, again, YouTube was such a new thing. She thought like predators were going to come after me and people were going to, ruin my life in the comments and stuff. So
I mean, that's a valid concern.
That's a great mom.
No, back then
you got
too.
A dope mom, man. She's rad.
At the
that's
age of 11,
people are the worst.
They
will say terrible things.
She did everything she should. Protect, but also nurture and support. Right? That's pretty rad.
Really, you're 17 and a half. You're like 11 years old. That's a young, like I got a 6-year-old.
But she still let him do it, which I gotta hand it to her. It's really cool because I'm not that guy. Like I like last night, I didn't want Maisie to ride the electric skateboard we were talking about, but Andrea did. And I got worried about it, but Andrea let her do it.
What kind of views were you getting back then?
I'd say I was getting starting to get like 5,000 views, 10,000 views. I remember one of my one of the videos on my aquariums got like 50 to 100,000 views, which I still think is amazing. I mean, 50,000 people looking at my aquarium.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Unreal. So,
was there a time where your parents were like, "Oh, you're getting too many views. Like this is starting to be something"? And then even at that time, because we all look at social media different than we did back 10 years ago.
We do.
Because 10 years ago, like getting 100,000 views, it seems to be easier than it is now. I feel like, and people realize it's worth more now. Back then, it was like, oh, you got 1 million views. That's what everybody was getting on YouTube. Like, it seemed like it in the media, at least. Like, oh, this video is viral. This is viral. And like, you weren't happy until you had 1 million. But even at that time, were you like, oh, this is way more than I should have, or this is valuable?
So I think when it really hit me was when I was in college. So I started in, I think, elementary, did through middle school. High school was when I started receiving some checks from Google, and I started thinking, hey, this is cool. I'm starting to earn some money from it. Keep in mind, I'm a basketball player in high school. I played college basketball as well. And so here I was, on the basketball team trying to keep my social life in check, and then also like posting these super nerdy aquarium videos. And it was just, I was considering quitting and not doing it because I thought I was worried what people would think maybe when they found out and stuff like that.
Did any of your buddies on the team know? And
yeah, I think
that's a very interesting, because you see that a lot in sports, though.
Yeah,
you're not an anomaly. I mean, like,
they're bullying you.
but look at all the big name athletes that play like basketball, football, that are, they secretly have that one thing that they do that's like extra nerdy, like Legos or fish.
Oh yeah,
or
they got their
or got puzzles.
I never thought about that,
but it's very common.
This comes from the kid that walked across the stage with a fish.
But that was in college. That was after what I'll talk about.
Wait, you graduated with a fish?
Yes.
That's dope, man. I like that.
Hold on, you had it in a bag?
Okay, so when I was in high school, I kept doing it.
That is dedication to your aquatics.
In college, I think, is when I realized, I looked back at some of my older videos from when I was a younger kid and in high school and stuff, and I started seeing hundreds of thousands of views. And I started thinking to myself, wait a second, how many people are fit in the Dallas Cowboys stadium? And then I looked it up, and it was 100,000 people. So I was like, this video has 200,000 views. You're telling me that many people have seen this? I think it just then started sinking into my brain, like how many actual people were watching.
And sometimes you have to visualize that. I like your idea of the stadium. That's cool.
That's what happened to us in podcasting. We're like, how many people fit in the conference room at Panera? And we're like, that many people listen to the show.
I was like, this is like 18 people, and I'm talking about one guy pushed against the glass.
That's a full Panera conference room.
Yeah.
And I'm talking the one near the soda machine.
It was pretty nuts. And my dad, who's also been extremely supportive through the whole thing.
Are they fish people, by the way? Or?
Well, I didn't know this until later, but my mom kept saltwater tanks growing up. But back then the technology wasn't around to keep coral, so she only kept fish. So I didn't know this until, again, like 5 years into the hobby, but I think that's the reason why she pointed me in that direction.
That's
was
cool.
Like, do saltwater. But yeah, and then I think in college when I started realizing how many views I was getting, my dad also was like, whoa, this, because I think he was not paying attention at all to the YouTube thing for a long time. But when he realized the views in college, he really took on, he thought it was super cool and became even more supportive about it. And and then from there, obviously, probably like halfway through college, I really embraced it, started taking my YouTube videos way more seriously, like investing a lot more time in the camera equipment and the production value and stuff. And then by the end of college, I was walking across the stage getting my diploma, holding my clownfish in my hands with me.
Because at that time, you're probably getting so many views steadily that people in your college knew that you were the fish guy.
I was the fish guy.
Okay, yeah.
They were like, yep, that's the fish guy.
So let's talk about where the transition is to realizing, hey, this is a potential full-time job, and not only a potential full-time job, but a lucrative full-time job that I can, I might as well do this than any other job. I have the potential to earn more and do more doing this than any other. What did you go to college for?
Economics.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
So I do have a lot of passion in business and entrepreneurship, and that's also a part of YouTube, keep in mind. But yeah, my entire life, I'd say, I think I always wanted to be a YouTuber. I mean, that's why I started making the videos, right? I saw some other people doing it, was like, wow, that really appeals to me. It's a really cool thing. And I was making a little bit of money from it in high school, which I used as a justification to keep doing it. Like, if anyone would ever say, hey, why are you making these weird aquarium videos? I'd be like, well, I'm making money from it. So it's kind of like my part-time job. And then they'd back off. They'd be like, okay. In college, I was making a little bit more money from it. And I think I had more money than the average college student, but it still wasn't quite enough to take to something I could take to my parents and be like, this is what I want to do full time, which was really scary for me, because I'd say all the way up until my senior year, I was doing this, and I think it really, I remember a very specific time, like middle of my senior year, thinking, wow, I'm at like 50,000 subscribers. I'm never going to be able to make enough money to do this for a living. And I remember sitting there and thinking like how disappointing that was. Then after my first viral, then I had one viral video right towards the end of my senior year, probably like 2 months before I graduated. And that's when so that video went viral, got like 5 million views. And then
what was the video?
It was don't order fish off the dark web. And
we knew a guy.
Write that down.
Yeah, write that one down, and then the first one I forgot already.
Yeah,
I'm having tilapia
the
from
riches
there
are in the
tonight. I'm a little worried.
That's what I go. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I only order my fish
I
off the
only
dark
get my
web.
farm-raised salmon from there.
It stinks.
I ordered a mystery box off the dark web, and I ended up getting piranhas, which was like the scariest fish I could think about.
Yeah.
And that's how I was teaching people about piranhas and how to take care of them. And I guess that video, what it did was it showed me, okay, this is what people want to watch. This is why people want to watch that. And then this is how much you make when you nail it perfectly. And it goes viral and it gets this many views. And then it all sort of hit me. And from then on, I really understood the YouTube algorithm. I totally understood the formula for making successful videos that are going to allow me to do this full time. And since then, I've had, many viral videos, and I've been able to replicate that process. And it was like 2 months before I graduated, and I started like realizing how these other YouTubers were doing it and how they were able to make full-time incomes.
So speaking of that, and when it comes to the business of YouTube, like I think everybody understands the basic math of there's like YouTube will put a commercial randomly in front of you have to opt into it, and then you'll get paid a certain fraction of a penny or whatever it is for every click or view. And then obviously they've made it a little more complicated now, where it depends on how long they watch it, and there's different algorithms for everything. But just at that basic aspect of the business, or like, all right, you opt in to have a commercial put in front of your video. How much money can the average person make if you wanted to be a professional YouTuber? Like, what's the, I guess, the subscriber level or view number that you have to hit to equal X amount of dollars?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it took me a long time to figure this out. But the subscribers, which forever I had thought was the key thing in, if I can just get to 100,000 subscribers, maybe I can do this full time. What I didn't realize was you don't get paid at all for how many subscribers you are. And so one of the things I realized was it's nice to be well liked, but it's nicer to be well paid. The money actually that you make from YouTube comes from the views. And so I figured out, okay, I need to actually increase my views. The subscribers will come with the views. There's also a big misconception that people think, oh, I'm not getting any views because I don't have any subscribers, when really it's the opposite. You're not getting subscribers because you're not attracting views to your channel.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's kind of like, even in our business, we have the people that listen to the show, and then we have the BDMs, the people that pay, and then the people that listen. There's that amount of audience, and then it gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah,
until
what you're saying
BDMs
is smart though, and it's funny because I would have never thought about it that way too. But like, people don't get, like, if you got addicted to something, you have to try it before you.
Right.
Yeah, you need the view number, and then you're gonna.
And
get
then if you
subscribers.
really like it, you'll subscribe. Sure.
People don't subscribe until they've seen maybe 5 or 6 of my videos in a row, and then they're like, oh, actually, I like this guy's content. He's offering me a lot of value, and then they click subscribe.
I like that.
So let's talk about the content. So obviously, when you are kind of, you're in a situation where you do content about fish tanks, so the content's limited to that. I'm sure you do way more, and you have adventures, and we'll talk about all that stuff. But so when it comes to producing content, I'm sure you start having to get creative. Like the more and more content you do, it's like, all right, I've done this subject, I'm sure after hundreds and hundreds, you're like, wow, what do I do next? So how do you come up with what your next video is going to be about and stuff? And like, do you do multiple about the same thing? Like, do you go back to like the tried and true, like, oh, everybody loves clownfish, I'm gonna do another video about that? How do you
give them
come
the
up
classic
with
clown?
Yeah, how do you come up with the content?
Well, I always think about it, what would people be interested in learning about that they don't know about? Or what's a misconception, right? So like everyone thinks that piranhas are really scary, for example. It's one of the most, it's used in movies as like as a villain. And when I did my unboxing from the dark web and I got piranhas and I taught people about piranhas, what I was teaching them was, hey, this is how you keep them in your aquariums, but also they're very shy and timid animals, and they're not as scary as the movies make them out to be. And so I kind of try to use things that people, I tried to reverse, stigmas or what people may think about certain things in that sense. But it always just depends. I actually feel really lucky that I chose aquariums, or at least I focused on one niche because I think it gives me an unlimited amount of things to talk about. I see a lot of people will just go to try and be, your typical vlogger, right? They'll try to just do everything. And when you spread yourself so thin, or you're choosing so many things to talk about, your audience is going to be all over the place. So where I've been able to be lucky, again, the riches are in the niches, is build up an audience who's all really passionate about, some people might be really into the saltwater stuff I talk about. Some of them might be really into the freshwater stuff. Some might like,
the coral
versus koi versus plants or whatever it is. But I just feel like there's so many different facets of it. And there's everyone. I've also been surprised to see, to learn the industry for aquariums is so much bigger than even I always think. I mean, it surprises me how many people keep aquariums, and it's massive in the United States.
Yeah, and we've talked to Steven about that before.
I didn't know it was as big until we met Steven.
I mean, there's some freshwater companies, pond company that he works with, and it looks like the business looks like a Google outside. I mean, it's literally like, holy cow.
Yeah, gigantic.
It's huge.
And just from talking to you and about the mass amount of coral that you distribute across the entire country, the business is gigantic. And that leads me to like when you started, because I know you work with Steven and Top Shelf, and I assume you work with other people in the industry now, and that's kind of where I'm seeing like YouTubers starting to partner with companies and brands and do stuff like that's kind of outside the traditional, hey, I'm going to put up a video and then have...
Well, it's marketing, but there's also a consumer value in that, like you said, there's an educational aspect to it.
Also,
it's not just a commercial. You're not just begging me to buy something,
You start talking about brands and other people's businesses like Top Shelf, and you're like, hey, this is what Top Shelf is. And then there's like a
collaboration.
And then, of course, Steven's brilliant to partner with you and do stuff with you because that's his demographic and that's the audience, and there's a lot of money in that. Like, I'm sure if you had a podcast about grilling, let's say, like, and you got to
God, there's so many,
and you have hundreds of thousands. Now all of a sudden you got Kingsford or some other giant barbecue company is like, hey, I want to do business with this guy. He's got 100,000 views every video about grilling. I want to give him as much Kingsford stuff and then pay him to talk about it. Like, so that's where the next incarnation of money and stuff comes from now, right? Is like personal relationships with advertisers.
Yeah. So the check that YouTube sends every month is just one revenue stream, right? There's being a YouTuber, you definitely have to diversify the different ways that you can bring in income, because that check, depending on like the views go up and down, right? Some months you'll have a really popular viral video, and some months you may not. So one of the things I did was, definitely start working with brands like Top Shelf, which is a fish store here in Orlando, Steven's. And that just makes sense because Steven, Top Shelf is one of the largest coral collectors, growers, and sellers in the country. Yeah. They're the best at what they do. And then I feel like I do what I do, teaching people about these things really, really well. And if I want to teach people about coral and how to grow your coral the fastest and the biggest and where you should buy it from, I mean, it only makes sense that I'd partner with the company that is doing that at the highest level, right? And so that's where Steven comes in.
Do you ever get contacted by anybody that like gets mad that, and this is maybe this is a bizarre question, but I'm imagining some guy that's like a professor that is studied coral and fish and an oceanographer. I don't know what do you call a professional biologist, and he's done this his whole life. He's a professor or whatever, and then he knows all this stuff, and then he only talks to 30 people or whatever the class size at a time, and then now
his reach
have this huge huge reach, and you just self-taught, I assume. You know, you didn't go to school for it, but you have all this knowledge, this huge reach, and you're the face of this.
Yeah.
And do anybody ever like reach out and be like, oh, I don't know what they'd be mad about
or
it, but
maybe
like,
correct you, or maybe feel like you don't have the right amount of info, or
or
anything
they,
like that.
or do you give some information that he's like, this is wrong. The clownfish has 4 eyes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Something,
I know what you're
some
saying.
small detail that you said in a passing comment.
Well,
that,
people are passionate about animals, so
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
see that happening for
Does
sure.
that happen a lot?
Judge everything he does.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times I'm under the microscope. I mean, even for me, the hobby, my enjoyment for it does take a little bit of a hit in the sense that I have to film everything I do, right? Like when I want to change my filter or when I want to get a new fish, like I can't just have the pure satisfaction of unboxing that fish and just putting it in my tank and, you know, like I have to.
Oh God, you nailed. That's the hardest part with playing video games on Twitch.
Yeah,
because that's my time to just
Exactly.
not be doing broadcasting.
Right, and so it's like you have to set up the camera and you have to make sure all the shots are right, and
Yeah.
it's so in that sense. But I do ultimately I want to educate people on the hobby, and like what I've been doing this whole last year is I went over to places like Indonesia with Steven. I went over to Australia.
Those I watched. That was
Singapore.
cool.
Yeah, and I wanted I was going to like the facilities that breed or collect or produce a lot of the different animals that you get in the aquarium hobby. And so I think the more and more I've gotten into it, the more curious I become, like, where does this stuff come from? Like, who is making it, or like who's creating it? And like, I am obviously an economics major, entrepreneur at heart. And so I'm starting to get into like the deeper levels of the industry. So I think I wouldn't call myself, again, going back to the biologist thing. Yeah, I'm definitely not a biologist in any means, but I do, and I wouldn't, even consider myself necessarily an expert, although I think I am extremely knowledgeable in the hobby. But
Well, you've been doing this since you were in elementary school,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
You're not a noob.
I think with with aquariums, I'm maybe not. I think I would consider myself an enthusiast. I'm super excited, super passionate, and super curious about aquariums. And then I have a platform where I've done so many different videos within every genre and niche now of the aquarium hobby. I feel like I am very well versed.
Almost like a database at this point, right?
Yeah, I feel like my videos are slowly becoming that, a database, like almost like a library.
Yeah, like he did this shark like killing video in Australia, like. It touched me. I was like, man, that's like something you see on Discovery Channel. Like,
Oh, awesome. You killed some sharks?
No.
We're
quite the opposite.
We're pro shark guys because we did the feeding at Stewart Coves, and we met what's her name? I'm blanking on her name.
Charlotte.
Yeah, Charlotte was a dive master there, and she teaches everybody the misconceptions about sharks and why we're murdering them. And really kind of like, we kind of knew that, but it's basically the complete opposite of the earlier Shark Week when they would villainize them. And basically it became fun to kill sharks.
Or their banded mall. That was cool.
So exactly. And I feel like every time I get to the edge of one part of the hobby, I sort of reach the beginning of a new part. And I'm like, whoa.
That's the one thing you and I don't do with our business. We have run out of passion, and there's
nowhere to go.
And it can't be stopped.
We're at the end.
Yeah. It's
and
literally
there's nothing there.
It's a boulder that we hate rolling down a hill that we hate even more. That's what I describe it as.
So other like social media people, and I've seen this with like, you familiar with Daddy Longneck? On
sure.
Instagram. Okay, yeah.
Why you got to embarrass me?
I'm just saying, he has teamed up with the Wide Neck, and there's a bunch of other
the
necks.
Net Gang.
And then there's some other, the eyeball guy, and then
and then the guy without the chin, he's the best.
the
that
no
guy.
chin. And so, and it seems like a lot of like content providers and stuff, like they've realized that by getting in with each other and promoting each other, they increase their audience numbers, and it makes sense. Like if in the same genre, you get in front of their audience, and it's gonna like Venn diagram. So are there other like YouTubers that are into fish tanks and reef people that you work with to extend your audience?
Yeah.
How many followers does Joey have?
1.3 million, I think. Yeah. So
Joey Shark Killer? Oh, I love that guy. No.
there's a lot of aquarium YouTubers, and there's a lot of different subgenres of the aquarium hobby. So it's kind of perfect in that sense. And some people are just freshwater, some people are just saltwater, which is what I started as. And then I kind of kept expanding. so I did saltwater. I then expanded into freshwater, brackish, and then one of the collabs with a creator I did was there was a pond guy by the name of Greg Whitstock. He builds people ponds in their backyards.
It's crazy.
And which are basically essentially massive fish tanks, massive outdoor fish tanks.
But they'll have their own ecosystem.
Wait a minute.
and
I asked this
plants and-
question. Remember, I said, if I got rich enough, could I make a gigantic outdoor fish tank? And you guys
Yeah.
said I was an idiot.
Well, you were talking about saltwater.
I seriously
You
said
could
that.
do saltwater.
Saltwater would be difficult just because of the top off, because of the evaporation.
Sure.
I saw some YouTuber just filled their swimming pool up with salt water,
Yeah.
and then they put coral and fish in there, and they swam around like there's the big stunts to.
They
right?
got a lot of heat for that.
Yeah, I bet.
With aquariums, any animal for that matter, there's a lot of balancing with the information with the entertainment,
Sure.
right? And there's two parts of it. So you can go super heavy on the entertainment, but then really not have a lot of regard for like the animal's well-being
Yeah.
and like what kind of an animal you're putting in what kind of an environment. For me, I really prioritize that. I've always been like super educational, and I've wanted people to be able to keep their animals for a long time in healthy ecosystems, right? So what I do is something called infotainment, where I find something educational and I try to bring an entertaining side to it and combine it, the two. I do see a lot of YouTubers really heavy on just entertainment, and I don't know if there's a lot of longevity in that, because I feel like you always have to just keep outdoing yourself.
Yeah.
You have to do something even crazier than filling up a swimming pool and putting sharks in it, which is like, yeah, I don't know.
Probably irresponsible to
Yeah.
fish.
Partly.
I thought the same thing, because with Steven, what he's taught us about even our tank and how delicate
Oh,
it
we
is,
take
like,
it real serious, man.
He's
Like, we'll make jokes, but when it comes to that, like if something happens, we freak the F out. Like I
Yeah.
lose it. I'm like calling him and
yeah.
what do we do?
Well, it's just because we don't want to hurt the animals
Exactly.
or put them under undue stress just for some dumb stunt.
Right.
Yeah.
So it just depends. I mean, I think there's a lot of aquarium YouTubers out there, and there's a scale between like where people sit. There's a lot of really great educational ones, but then unfortunately, I think there are a few that linger on the side of irresponsible. So, but I think eventually viewers, I think the longevity in having a career in this is with the education. People coming back to my videos to learn more or to see what I'm into next. Like one thing that I did with Steven in Indonesia was scuba diving. So for I'd say 10 years, I was keeping these corals in my aquariums. And then eventually I was like, well, wait, I want to see these in the wild. I want to go to the Great Barrier Reef and Fiji, and I want to see the actual corals in their natural habitat. And so I got really into scuba diving the last year and a half. And that's like a whole nother hobby. It's like not even aquariums. It's completely different. So
And there's YouTubers that are professional scuba divers. That there's tons of YouTube channels that are scuba diving, and I don't know if you ever interact with those guys.
sometimes, yeah.
Okay. Because
Sometimes. It just depends, right? Like if there's synergy and it makes sense, then I love collaborating with other people. But it always depends. Like with the pond guy, he built me an awesome pond. I went to Japan, handpicked 10 amazing koi, brought them back, and then put them in my pond, and they've been living there ever since. Now some of my favorite fish. Would never have understood the world of koi collecting, the koi breeding in Japan. Would never even have gone to Japan to do this if it weren't for collabing with Greg and him building me a pond. So So
let's talk about that, because I imagine you have some pretty impressive personal tanks at your house, but you have to travel a lot. So is there?
You gotta have a tank boy.
Yeah, is there a balance where you're a busy dude, you're young, and you're creating content and doing business around the world? So it's not like you can have that many personal tanks without. I mean, I'm sure you have people taking care of them, but what's your personal tank status? You got a koi pond fish.
Yeah, I have 13 personal aquariums and I'm one pond. And I'll try to get all the animals. I have my clownfish, my reef tank. And then I have a mantis shrimp. At one point I had an octopus. I had crayfish, pufferfish, starfish, seahorses, flower horns, discus, cichlids, koi fish, piranhas. Really, you name it, I've probably kept it before.
He's a hoarder.
I'm not a hoarder. I like to showcase. I want to teach people about these animals. They're animals I love, and they're all super unique, and so that's why they all sort of need their own tank. So that's why I have 13, is because I don't just shove all these in one tank.
Right.
They all need like a very specific environment, right? Like a seahorse needs a really slow and chill vibe versus
I'm a seahorse. Tom's more of a chocolate starfish.
yeah.
So what? Okay,
but when I leave on my trips, I'm very lucky. My parents, and shout out to my cousin, Big George. He will, I've been able, and people like Steven back home who own fish stores, I'll have come in and check on stuff and everything.
Mad ups to Big George.
Everything's very well
good looking
after.
out.
So.
Okay. Oh wait, Big Matt. What was his name?
Big George.
Big George.
All right, this is a question for both of you guys.
I want to get his shout out correct.
So say Steven obviously didn't provide us with this awesome fish tank that we have from Top Shelf Aquatics, and say it was just.
I was going to bring in my daughter's sea monkeys.
What kind of fish or something that I could have in there that both of you guys would go walk up to and see it and be like, oh, this guy means business. He's a serious enthusiast, because this one is hard to take care of. That means he knows what he's doing.
And let's make sure we never get that, because you guys are terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we only have to have them see it. We could have somebody rush it and put it in there, then they see it, and they leave, and I'm like, get it the hell out of here.
Or,
save it.
Yeah,
fish
save its life.
and rock neems. They're easy to keep alive. Or also the shrimp. The shrimp seem indestructible. But
yeah.
Yeah, those things are popping their heads off, throwing them in the corners every 5 seconds.
What would be impressive to you guys if we had in the tank that would tell you that we're serious about fish tanks?
Coral or fish?
Fish, like something living.
Anything saltwater.
Anything?
I think almost anything saltwater, yeah, because it would show that you have an understanding of the ocean and how a lot of chemical balances work.
What if I told you we're flat earther?
Is there
a
one?
mantis shrimp.
A mantis shrimp?
A mantis shrimp, something like that. Something kind of like an oddball, super unique, something that, you would need a kind of a specific environment for. Even seahorses.
Oh, we got some shrimp. What kind of shrimp in there we got in there, Steve?
Probably cleaner shrimp.
There's some red lobster basic beach
Yeah,
shrimp.
the basic. Those guys. Oh, yeah.
I want the mantis.
Yeah, those are your standard clip art shrimp. It's a red, and it's
What
got
about
the things.
an octopus? I imagine that's hard to keep alive and care for.
Yeah, one of the...
all they eat is peanut butter, I read.
He did a video.
They're super smart animals, super intelligent. So my octopus tank, before I left for some of my travels, I gave the octopus to someone else who would care after it, because they are such crazy intelligent animals. They know how to escape their tanks. They know how to even escape their tanks, go into another one of your tanks, eat the fish, and then go back into their own tank.
Yeah, they're kind of terrifying to me because of that.
Yeah.
One escaped on the plane when he took it home. That was a video. It's viral too. Yeah.
Like on the plane.
Octopi on a plane.
One of my biggest
Sam
videos.
Jackson's in that.
Octopus escapes on airplane, and what happened, unfortunately, was I was taking the octopus. So octopuses can ink, right? And in the ocean, they ink to escape predators and to for camouflage. But when you're transporting an octopus, if it inks in the container, it can actually kill itself. Like the toxins in the ink can kill itself. So I didn't want to, when I was ready to purchase an octopus, I didn't want to have someone ship it to me because I was scared. Oh, if it inked in the box and it's in the box for 24 hours, I would hate for it to die. So
Tom inks in his sleep all the time. He drinks too much, and his wife's like, "You're an alcoholic," and he's like, "Ink, ink, ink." Oh, it's bad.
Inked in her underwear drawer.
Come on.
Too inked in here. I'm like, I don't know. That's crazy. It's a burglar or something.
He opened the fridge one time and inked all in there. He sleep inks. It's bad.
Yeah. So it was here in Florida, and I was like, I want to go pick it up. I want to go pick it up myself and take it with me on the airplane home. So I can have it in a clear container. I can have it monitor it the whole time, right? Well, so I pick it up. It was actually here in Florida. I go through TSA with it. I go get on the airplane, and unfortunately, unfortunately, it inked. Fortunately, I was there with it. So I took it straight to the bathroom, changed out the water. I had spare water for that reason. As soon as I got it, happened like the last 30 minutes of the flight. Like,
can you imagine I walk in the airport bathroom and he's in there switching at his thing, and I'm like, what the? Like that would be bananas.
On the plane.
People are getting
on the plane.
On the plane.
Even
there was
worse.
a lady in front of me, and that was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever done. Was I listen, ma'am, I'm so sorry, but like
I inked myself.
Exactly. And she's just like, go. So, yeah.
By the way, but they make people nervous. You're on a plane holding a bag of that was just a bag of black water with an octopus inside, and then they're like, what's that guy doing in there?
Yeah,
he's lighting his shoes.
yeah, exactly.
I think anything suspicious you do on a plane, you're holding a bag, and people get nervous. So now, how many different places have you traveled to? Like what? Like where are you now in your professional YouTube career? Like because what I find interesting is like there's never been anyone before us. Like we're professional podcasters. Like there's no one to look at and be like, oh, those guys.
It's weird. It's weird.
They did their whole career. Like we have radio guys to look at, but most of them I
don't know many people that do what we do.
They get fired because they said something racist on the air, and then you never hear from them again.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's no one before us. So what is the overall consensus of like, can this last forever? Is there a forever audience? Do you see, because we've seen this, like a dilution of there's just so much content out there.
It's just so saturated.
That when people even ask us now, like, hey, I want to start a podcast, I'm like, good luck, because and we tell them that, just like you said, it's start it on something specific. Don't just start a comedy show.
The riches are in the niches. He told you.
Yeah. And then, so what is the current, your current status and the current state of professional YouTubers?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think, I don't know. I've been lucky enough that YouTube, this hobby, it's taking me now pretty much around the world. I'd say I've been to 20 or 30 different countries, everywhere from, like I said, Japan to Israel to Australia, and just exploring the aquarium world, all the different fish and coral and stuff. And that was my dream. I love traveling, and I'm very lucky that I've been able to do that. I think that I've been able to build up a following that definitely respects all those experiences and all that knowledge and those connections that I've made. And I think they understand that I'm really serious about what I do, and I'm not necessarily just trying to, get my quick I wouldn't even know what to say. Quick, like, moment in the spotlight.
You're 15 minutes, and you're not doing this because you want to be popular.
And
or
your
whatever.
channel has that vibe. Like, when I tuned in after Steven telling us about it, like, it does the educational aspect of what you do does set you apart. I feel like.
Yeah, and so it's tough because I think a lot of social media creators, they look to things like more traditional media, things like TV, and things, for me it would be maybe the equivalent of Animal Planet, Discovery Channel, those things. And that was always the goal for content creators, was like, I want to have my own show on Nat Geo, right?
Yeah.
But now I feel like I don't know if that's something that I would really want, because I feel really like currently I control all my own content. I control what I want to do.
It's and go the direction you want. Yeah. And you're not going to be forced by some producer and show writer to be like, hey, do the, and then like, I know that this is not.
So here's what we're going to have to do. Big George is in the attic. He falls through.
Yeah, you start lying.
And he breaks the tank.
And then your audience, your own audience.
Creating like a
yeah, they don't even want to hear that from you because
then
they know you.
Weirdly enough, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the TV show that ran on Animal Planet for like over 15 years, Tanked.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, and so I mean that's some people's
They've done some stuff around here, I think.
Yeah, sure. And so that's some people's like first introduction to aquariums, which is great. I think everyone has their place, right? Every video on YouTube, even if it does as little as inspire someone to maybe want to keep an aquarium, that's wonderful. That's awesome, and they'll eventually find other more educational channels. But I wouldn't say they were very well perceived by the aquarium industry at all. I mean, they were, the fact that they were so overproduced as a TV show made them not be able to really go into the nuances of the educational aspect, and it really upset a lot of aquarium people who were like, that's not really the right way to add a fish to a tank. You can't just set up a tank in one day. And
because it's a bunch of showrunners that have no idea about aquariums running that show and telling those guys. And
it's not even their fault. Yeah, they just literally they have to by the producers do exactly.
And the aquarium world is like this BS. There's a bunch of BS because they're trying to be the most popular to everybody.
Right.
And that I 100% agree with you. And then it doesn't become authentic anymore.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure where to go next. What I do know is a business I started while I was in college that has grown in the last 2 years is Aquashella. And Aquashella is an aquarium event, a convention. It's a festival for all aquarium enthusiasts, and it's something I started back home in Chicago. The second year we expanded to Dallas, and then next year, 2021, we are expanding to a third short here in Orlando. So we're gonna have Dallas, Chicago, and Orlando, which is crazy. And our last Dallas event, we had I think 7,000 people come. And probably the Orlando one will be our biggest. We'll probably have like 10,000 people.
Yeah. Wow.
So
awesome.
That's been awesome. And I think so growing that business, creating an environment where people can come together and share that passion, and all the creators can come and collaborate and meet fans and meet people who are super stoked about it. I think that's one way to encourage the longevity of the hobby.
Awesome.
As well.
Yeah, I love it, man.
George, thanks so much for coming in.
Appreciate
Again,
the time, man.
CoralFish12g, if you want to follow him on YouTube. Steven, Top Shelf Aquatics, right down the road if you want to get into,
it's amazing.
Being a tankman, as we say.
You could sign up and get the emails like I do and see all of the stuff that we can't afford.
The world of aquariums.
Yeah.
Like all these awesome, I love showing him the ones that's like just one little tiny fragment. How much is that one?
Yeah.
I love it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no problem.
the time, man.
All right, guys. Bye-bye.